welcome back to another episode. Well, another video. Right, so this one was kind of a little bit of an introduction to this, like the children's learning stages, right? And kind of the Finnish school system and what they do in the early childhood development side. And, you know, what are the stages of learning for the children essentially? Um, the reason I'm looking into this is I am a second language teacher, and recently I became a father. I think everyone knows that, and I know the education system, and I know how it's failing the kids, and it's failing to create problem-solving, rational children. Um, and I've seen the effects of like TikTok. What are these platforms? Instagram. Um, I won't say Twitter as much because Twitter is technically reading. Um, but all these, YouTube shorts, all of these things, I can see how it's affecting children, not only their attention span, but their social conditioning, what they think is appropriate, how they think of things. And it's just, I've got a class that is, I think they are grade grade 9 kids, and it's the biggest struggle to get them involved in things. And I think it's due to, but anyway, I'm not ranting or anything. I was just like, okay, so, what are the benefits? You know, what are the benefits this and the, the problems that will arise in my son's life that I'm going to have to start looking into. Um, and, as being a teacher, I do have an understanding of the Finnish system. And the Finnish system is something I would agree with. There is great approaches from other people. I'm not 100% there. I think it's BGs, but they are in America, so um, don't have access to them. But they're doing great work as well. There's quite a few people that are doing some great renovating of the school systems or how to teach kids, because the old school system is not a way to do it. So I think the Finnish way is a great way to do it. Like, schools force kids to learn things that they are not ready for. They're not at that developmental stage to learn it. And then what this essentially does is it creates a negative outlook on education, and then that hinders the child's curiosity and interests. And essentially, how many of us, myself included, I stumbled into teaching. It wasn't something I wanted to do. If you said in school that I would be a teacher, I would have laughed at you and walked away. Not quite, but I would never have believed you. So, like, how many of us actually finish school and know what we want to do? We still don't know what we want to do. We haven't done enough things. We haven't explored enough things, real things, to actually know what we want to do. All we've done is memorized stuff, which some of it has places you need to memorize, and some of it is not. In today's world, you don't need to memorize it. Did anyone really understand how to work with money and taxes? I kind of covered it in school, but that it was never given to me really. I'd never had real life experience with it. I've forgotten what I learned in school with it. So again, back to my life examples. So children with ADHD struggle to sit and still and learn. I don't essentially believe ADHD is the actual thing. Well, there ADHD does exist. However, the majority of people now who say they have ADHD, that is nonsense. They don't have ADHD. They have low attention spans. They have the wrong diets. um, and essentially they're just bored with the topic that is being covered. That is not ADHD. So, but let's say, okay, well, we'll take it in a broad spectrum. So I'm taking out the extremes. So if you give them something that they are really interested in, kids with ADHD, I have this in my classes, so I can say it from my experience. Um, if I go in with a lesson that they don't like, they cannot sit still. They cannot do it. They cannot. They're not interested. Their mind is wandering. Myself included. I was like this when I was young. Um, but if you give them something stimulating, if you give them something that they're really interested in, they're eager to do, they can sit for hours doing it. Um, playing games, you have to sit for hours playing games. Okay, it's a bit more interactive now, but it's an example. It's like when I was young, I couldn't sit still and learn. I hated it. I hated sitting at the desk and learning. What I wanted to do was build worlds, fight aliens, kill dragons, save the princess. I could sit. That's when I could sit at my desk and I could daydream for hours, just thinking and creating stories and role playing it through my head of like the knight going or getting his army and marching to the castle where the dragon is or whatever, whatever, or aliens that were coming down from space and now you gotta rally the whole world to go fight the aliens. Like these were things that I was doing in my imagination. And I could sit for hours creating these stories. Um, but then you ask me a question, a math question, freaking math question, and I couldn't concentrate long enough to give you the answer. Like I knew most of the formulas. I knew how to do the most of it. I'm talking about basic maths, yeah. I'm not very into maths, but you know, a basic one. I could do it. I couldn't concentrate long enough to get the answer, in the sense of my mind would start wandering, whatnot. I mean, there was one point I would get someone else, or I would get my dad to answer the question for me in a sneaky way. Um, work around, eventually get him to just write the answer for me. And I would do this with most subjects, even English in the beginning. Later on, I kind of did like English, but I mean, beginning when I was younger, I couldn't read, I couldn't spell properly. Um, and stuff here is I can remember going to a friend's house who was brilliant. He was like the star student of the world kind of person, always competing to be the best. Um, he was brilliant at reading and spelling for his age. He was whole levels above. And we were playing a game on his computer, and he had to go do something. I don't know exactly what. I don't know. He had to go do something. And when I was finished playing, and then I couldn't find him, and I asked his father where he was. He said he was busy. So I was like, okay. Well, I told his father, like, okay, I'm finished playing. And his father's response was, sure, just exit the game and you can go play outside or do whatever you want. Well, damn, I can't read properly. And so I sat, and his father was very kind of strict. So I sat over there over an hour looking for this stupid exit button or quit. You know, I couldn't find it. I just sat there and I couldn't find it because I couldn't read, so I didn't know what button I'm supposed to click. And I remember this is like very young, like I think I'm maybe 7, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, somewhere there. Eventually my friend came back and he helped me, but that was reinforcing a bad experience for me, because no matter how much I asked his father and said to him like, I can't read this thing, I can't find it. His father said you can do it. Um, but anyway, the point is, I wasn't interested in learning to read and write at that stage of my life. However, when I was around 13 to 14, okay, obviously he's learned to read and write at a young age, obviously. But when I was around 13 to 14, I think it was around 13 to 14, somewhere there, I got a phone I'm not sure. Maybe it was even later. I think it might be 15 or 16. I'm not sure. Can't really remember. But I got a phone. That's the main point. Is I got a phone, my first phone, and or second phone, and it had Mixit. I don't know if anyone remembers Mixit, but Mixit was the big messaging like WhatsApp and stuff like that, and you could join groups and or chats online. That was the big thing. And at that stage, I had an incredible interest or need to learn how to read and spell and write my with my friends, right? To my friends. So I could talk with my friends. So that's when my brain could connect a reason to learn how to spell, and that's when I became interested in learning. So there was a disconnect before. I didn't have there was no reason for me to learn how to read or write in a sense. And then when I got older, I kind of connected a reason, like, okay, here's a reason why I should learn these skills. And then I did voluntarily. I just went and I learned them, and I had great fun learning them. Researching how to spell this or how to write this. How do I say this? What does this say? And that's how I learned. Essentially, that's the majority of how I learned how to read and write was from that. That was before everyone used the abbreviations that they're using now, like BC, because. Like that is, I don't agree with that. That's a stupid way to write. But anyway, that's another thing to go on. But essentially, that's when I became interested. So I want to start preparing my son how to think and how to learn in a way that gives him real knowledge and problem solving skills. Because I don't think the need to memorize everything is important anymore right now. Certain things I do agree you need to learn, you need to know how to do them and what the reasons are for. But not everything needs to be memorized. So, let's take a look at the stages. This one's taking a bit long, sorry. So let's try to do a speed run quick. So let's take a look at the stages, right? The stages of development for children, according to the Finnish system, which is the best from my research, or what I think is the best. There is the Sweden or someone that's on par, but I like the Finnish system. So early childhood education and care. So is from 0 to 6 years old. Right? That's their first stages of education. So you have, and then after that you've got the pre-primary education, which is 6 years old, which basically just prepares them for the actual schools. Um, and then you have the basic education, which is up to 16, and then you have the secondary education, which is 16 to 19, and then you've got higher education. But let's first go into the first part. So the main areas that are covered in early childhood education for them is the holistic development, which is the physical, and all early childhood development or education has these things included. It's the way they enforce it that's different, or the way they teach it is different. So you have with your physical development, emotional and social development, your motor skills, exercising, playing outdoor, your emotional development, again social. Then it's play-based learning. So the primary way of learning is through play. So they turn the education into a playful and engaging activity that fits the developmental stage. Um, I think I'll say at the end here, I've got some notes on what they do. So language and communication, they learn through storytelling, singing, conversation, exposure to rich vocabulary. Artistic and creative, or cognitive and intellectual development. So they stimulate curiosity and the cognitive skills through problem-solving activities, as well as while doing is introducing basic concepts of math science. Basically, so they would role play a situation maybe in the really early years of you are a baker and you're selling your cupcakes, and then you would have play money, or that the kids could work with, and they can role play the situation. That's how they learn to interact with money and build the social skills, how to do this, and you can scale that. Um, I'm of the belief that every kid should learn at a very young age how to start a business, how money works, and the best way for them to learn is to when they start a business, and it's like, oh crap, I need to learn how to do budgeting. Then they start learning that, which then would incorporate the plus minus kind of percentages, and that's how they'll learn everything. That's more engaging. That's engaging the kids. That's engaging their minds, making it think instead of just memorizing the maths. They're seeing how it's used in real life. Um, then there's the artistic and creative side. You can explore that health and well-being, which is you got to be teaching them healthy habits, including the nutrition, which I haven't delved into the Norwegian, or sorry, the Finnish um, nutrition side of what they eat, but essentially, I would like to teach my son, okay, you need to eat red meats, some vegetables, a lot of fruit, no processed stuff, no sugar, like cut all that crap out. Um, no soda, none of the stuff that's killing you. No water. Okay, well, I can't speak now. I'm not. I still drink water in a plastic bottle, but no plastics or stuff like that. Clean water. Um, you know, the, all of the health and nutrition, and then the hygiene and physical activities. Don't just sit and play games. And then you have the ethic and moral development, right? Which is you just understanding the concept of fairness, responsibility, and respect. Uh, Developing that right and wrong. Um, Another thing, the great thing is they have parent involvement, which is awesome because I've seen not just where I am now, but everywhere, the amount of parents that are actually engaged in their children's educational life is crap. Like they are engaged in the bare minimum and they're expecting the teacher to teach the kid everything. No, that's not the teacher's responsibility. The teacher's responsibility is to teach them things. But you should be in charge of your child. What values do you want them to learn? How do you want them to think? And I believe that the teacher and the parent should work together in assuring, like, okay, you believe your kids should learn this. How do I help facilitate that? It, the one learning should be done individual style, as in each child should actually get individual attention from the teacher, and then the teacher can inform the parents on ways they can do this, and then the parents install their values in the child. And the teacher just kind of gives guidance on learning. That is what I believe, anyway. But from my point of view too, with my son, I want to be in charge of his learning, his growth of values, opinions. When he has questions, I would like him to come ask me these questions because my wife and I, we have our own opinions, we have our own values of what we believe is right and wrong, and that is something that is our responsibility, our right and responsibility to teach our kids. It's not the government's responsibility, it's not the teacher's responsibility, it's the parents. So I believe parent involvement is a massive benefit to the child. So they cover physical development, which gets the kids comfortable in their bodies and builds a healthy mind and a healthy mindset. Um, but yeah, so the big takeaway that I'm taking from this is you're gonna have all the normal developments that you should have in early childhood development, but you need physical. You need physical. You need the healthy nutritional play. You need to have play-based learning instead of getting them to just memorize the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like a robot. Make it interesting. Make it play-based. Give them something to enjoy it with. For instance, with the early childhood care or the what do you call it, um, kindergarten, you have songs that you can sing along and they can play like that. That's kind of play-based learning. They're learning the numbers while having fun and memorizing it in a sense that's good for them. Um, so obviously this is not easy, and I understand not everyone has options like this. Um, I don't. I have to try to figure out how I am going to incorporate these things into my son's life with his schooling, because where I am now, um, you would homeschooling is not really an option. Um, it is, but it costs a lot more financially to do that, and the schools have so much going on that it'll be difficult to teach them these things. Not difficult. It's just a bit more of a challenge. Let's put it that way. Not impossible. It's just I got to figure out how I would install these little bits of nuggets of information or data sets that would allow him to grow into an awesome person. Um, I'll do more of these. Sorry, I've run out of time. I have a bit more notes here, but they teach them how to do the environment. Stop leaving plastic. That's a big one. Stop eating foods that come from plastic. Stop using plastic to, all of those things I need to teach him. Um, yeah, so I'm going around about in circles at the moment. I'm not looking at the notes at the moment, but yeah. So the Finnish system is, to my opinion, good. This was just an introduction. I'll get into the more of the actual learning development stages of the kids in a later video. I just thought this was interesting. Just pondering it with my son. I was like, how am I gonna teach him? Um, what are we gonna teach him? Because both my wife and I are both teachers, so and we both have our own values or outlooks on education for what we would like our son to learn, so that he would actually giving him the tools necessary to become successful. Basically, let's put it that way, and not leaving it up to the school system. Like, the school system still has major benefits. There are still a lot of things that they do benefit, but you have to watch, and you can't just leave your child to do their own things, because they get influenced by friends, and then all sorts of things in bad. And then you have the peer pressure and whatnot. So you got to look at what's happening. But anyway, so that's it for this one. So this was just an intro into it. I'll get into the more actual development of children in another video. Thanks for joining. I hope it wasn't too all over the show. Um, Let me know what you think down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Is there something else? Is there better options? Let me know down below, and I'll see you in the next one.